Right, we're back. We're going to be using the collab resin for this one today. We're going to be having a bit of fun with some silicone oil, and we're going to be using the Armor Art pigment pastes. Lots of different colours. This one is inspired by Christy Fraser from Resin As You Wish. I watched one of her videos the other day and I fell in love with the effects that she got. So this is a voiceover because during editing I lost all of my sound. So I just showed you the mica powders. I only used the gold and I think there was another colour, but we'll get to that. And I've got my heat gun ready. So I've just measured out separate cups of resin to mix my pigment paste into. So now I'm just going to randomly hold up and show you which colours I'm mixing with my resin as I go. I don't bore you in mixing all of the colours on camera. It's just a small amount in the resin and just mix until it's streak free. So far we've got the green, we've got the red, this is the white. I did, you know, you can't really go wrong with this. Kind of just chuck the colours that you want together, and then the magic comes when we use our silicone oil. So I mix some pink mica powder in with this pink pigment paste just to give it a shimmer, and then I'm just mixing up my other colours ready. I added the gold with the yellow just so it gives that shimmer. Now I did make some others on the side. I do show them towards the end, and what I've done is I've just stitched on, it's the wrong aspect, but I've stitched on how I created a really nice blue one that you've probably seen in the thumbnail. So I'm just pouring in my green as a base on the right too. And what I'll do is I'll put Resin As You Wish. I'll put the link to the video that I saw. It's a good hour long, but I'll tell you what, you'll be hooked. It really is. It's an incredible video from Christy. I'll pop that in the description below. I'll also tag her channel. Be sure to head on over, check out some of her work. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm just moving these around now just to cover the base of the coaster. Make sure there's no negative space. Again, these coasters are from Let's Resin. I didn't use the base. These do come with a base, but I just wanted to quickly try it and I was quite happy with the results, so I thought I'd share it. But sadly I lost my audio during editing and I couldn't retrieve it, so I'm having to voice over, which I don't like doing, to be honest with you, but if it works, it works. So I'm just adding the red to the left hand side ones, and again I'll just move that red around just to cover the base. You could experiment with any colours you want really. I just picked some and kind of committed myself to it, but you can do this with pretty much any colours. The trick is with the silicone oil really. You could also, Christy's also done this, get similar effects by using isopropanol, but I fell in love with the piece that she did in the video that I've linked with the silicone oils. So I'm just going to pour a small amount into my cup. You really don't need much of this oil, just a dab on the end of a stick. You'll see when it comes to it, it really does go a long way. So now what I need to do is preheat my base colours, which helps the silicone oil move the colours around. If you've got a lower viscosity resin, as Christy explains in her video, the silicone oil will work easier. If you've got a medium to high, then you need to use that heat gun and just warm your resin. So then you get the best results with the silicone oil. So you can see now I'm just adding the pink to the green. It's a strange combo, but it's strong and it's colourful, and I found it worked really well. You could go in with anything, you know, swells, however you want to pour it. Just experiment and play. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just mix your colours together. The magic does come when we start using the silicone oil. And the other good thing with this is that we're working on the front of the piece, so the demold is not really required. You're seeing how the piece is going to end up looking. So if you've got old coasters that have kind of lost their shine, this is ideal for those kind of jobs, so that you're working from the back to the front. So it doesn't matter if your mold has lost its shine. This is ideal for this. You're kind of seeing how it's going to look, and you can kind of manipulate it a little bit more with your silicone oils to kind of change how it's looking. So now I'm just drizzling in some white next to the colours that I've added already. just to kind of break the pieces up, I think. And now I just decide to go crazy with my white and just drizzle in whatever I've got in the cup anywhere, because it just really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in any kind of particular way. I just drizzle it in and just use up what I've got left in my cup, basically. Because the oils, again, they just move everything around. Nothing's going to stay how it's looking at the moment. Nothing needs to be tidy. And then I go in with more colour. Again, just because you can. Just kind of randomly just pouring it now, just to, just to add some more interesting vibrancy, maybe. But yeah, you really don't have to be tidy. And then again, I chuck in some gold or yellow gold, just drizzle it all over the piece. I did think about crossing the colours, but then I thought no. Last minute I thought I better stick with what I've done. Keep left separate to right. Don't add pink to the red. Don't add gold to the green. Yeah, so you could just experiment with one coaster to begin with, so you know you're not wasting your resin, and you'll see just how much fun this is. I find voiceovers really strange because I'm used to talking to you as I'm doing the thing, so I'm kind of I'm not really in sync with the video, so I'm kind of watching it and I'm voicing over at the same time, and I kind of want to rush my voiceover to the next part, but I'm not quite there yet. Here we go. So I'm now just warming the resin again, just so that the silicone oil can move that colour around on the surface a lot better than what it would. Well, it wouldn't move it, to be honest with you, if you didn't preheat. So it is essential to warm your resin at this stage. And now you can see I've just got my small, I can't even remember what the name of this tool is. It was something from Mrs. Cooper's craft box. So you can see I'm just dabbing, my focus is out, but I'm just dabbing a tiny amount of silicone oil on the end of it, and then just touching the surface of the colour. And you will find that the oils will still work for some time after you've added them to your colours. So don't be worried that things are still moving around, you know, a good 15-20 minutes afterwards. It's absolutely fine. The blue one that I did, I went back and checked on it after about half an hour, and I was stunned. I wasn't expecting it to turn out the way it did. Originally I was going for like a waves idea, but it completely changed. But it changed for the better. I'll put a photo in some of the groups on Facebook, and you'll see the depth that the blue one has got. It is absolutely incredible. I'm definitely going to be playing around with these a lot more. You can see there I've added another drop, but it's not really doing anything because the resin's cooled down pretty quickly. So I just added a little bit more heat from the heat gun, just to loosen it up a little bit more, so that I could then go in with just a few more drops of the silicone oil. I didn't want to add too much heat to it in case I kind of disturbed the pattern that was already forming, so I moved on to the second one. And again, I just warmed that up again, just to make sure that the oils would push those colours around. Now on this one you can barely see the white, but watch what happens when I begin to add the oil. This is why the white is a really good idea. Now when I add it to this line of white below, it really brings that white out and kind of highlights the piece and creates some amazing, they're kind of like cells, aren't they? Almost like dragon scales. I mean, that's ideally what I wanted to kind of get, but I think I just used the wrong colours. Now, I didn't really know what to expect with these ones, so I just, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just heating that resin, loosening that surface of colour, ready for the oils. But just be careful with the heat gun as well. You don't want to hold it over too long. You risk ruining your moulds. Just, you know, just until you see the colours move around. And this one really did surprise me with the way that it kind of spread out. It reminded me of sweet corn at first, but it did change over time and kind of moved around a bit more. But I wish it had stayed like that, because it's a pretty cool effect. You can just see how that white kind of highlights the gold yellow, and the gold yellow complements the red in the background. So you can get some really surprising results. Just change your colours around and experiment, and you'll see no piece will ever be the same either, which is really good. You could do a set with all the same colours, but they wouldn't look the same. And again, as always, massive shout out to my channel members and new people that have joined. That link is in the description box below, along with all the products that I'm using. There is a 20% discount code for Armour Art. That is also in the description, so use that at checkout and you'll get 20% off of your order. And always a massive thank you to anyone who's subscribed since my last video, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. So this one wasn't really spreading that much. I think because the resin had been sitting there longer than the rest, so I try and heat this one up and move things around after I've added the oil, just to see kind of how it would affect the oils and the colours. You can see it spreads out a little bit. So I then try and go in again with a bit more oil. I realised at this point it's not really doing much, so it's better to just leave it alone and kind of let it do its thing. If it's going to move anymore, then it will just do that on its own over time. Now, noisy aeroplane in the background. I don't know why I went in with another blast of heat at the end. Possibly to try and get them to move around a bit more, but I didn't really need to. I could have just left it. So now it is basically a waiting game, and wait for them to cure. Tapping my watch to say wait. Right, so here they are. The first layer has cured. This is what they will look like at the end, obviously, because there is no demold required. And you'll find that the oils will still be sitting on the surface of the piece. It's very important that we clean that off. And you can just see the shimmer of the mica powders. It's not too much, but it's enough to kind of give it a different effect. So isopropanol, you could use any percentage for this, or alcohol wipes, as Christy uses and recommends, but I didn't have any, so I just dabbed as much of the surface as I tried to draw it off with a paper towel first, just to try and you'll see the patches on the tissue. There's not much, but just make sure that you do this process, because if you add your final layer of resin, it could trap that oil inside and it's not going to cure properly. So just make sure that you kind of dab off and clean. So once I've done that, I then just pour some isopropanol onto my paper towel and then just rub over the surface gently. And just make sure that there's no kind of fibres from the paper towel left on there, which could be visible when you top up with resin. So yeah, we want them squeaky clean. Now this is the blue one. I just showed this on camera. I really wish I'd filmed the whole process in with this video, but I kind of just did these pieces on the side just to, because I love doing these and I love them so much. I thought, right, I can't stop. I need to do some more. So here I am just topping up with the final layer of resin, and then, as I said, there'll be no demold video. There's no point. They are what you see, basically. If you've done a deeper pour in your coasters, I don't think another layer is 100% necessary. As long as you clean off that oil, it should be fine. So now just making sure that I use all the resin that I've mixed and just top them up as much as I can. Make sure they're all kind of level with the surface of the mould. And that is these pretty much done now. You'll see the photos that I'll pop into the Facebook groups when I post the video on YouTube, and you'll see some kind of close-up shots of what they look like. Yep, hit that subscribe button. Right, the aspects changed because this was for a TikTok originally, so you might have to adjust your screen, I'm not sure. So I wanted to go for like a sea wave. I've never really experimented much with the beach effects, if that's what you call it. So I thought I'd give it a try by mixing some silicone oil in with my white. But I think I put too much in. and you'll see what happens anyway. But there, yeah, so I begin to do like a beach effect, and then I kind of just kept going with the silicone oil. You'll see, and the effects I was getting were really, really good. So you can kind of see some sea effect if you can see the screen properly. I know it's small. But then I thought, right, I'm going to try again with some waves. So then I hit it with my heat gun, and it just goes all over the place, a bit too much. So I really need to experiment with these a bit more and perfect them. But you know me, I don't like watching other people's videos and then copying their work. I kind of try and work things out on my own. But this video that I saw, you know, I had to watch the whole hour of Christie's video, because from the thumbnail I was hooked straight away. I was like, how did you do that? And it was just incredible. So I'm just hitting it with a heat gun, and I don't know what I'm expecting, but now I decided to go in with my silicone oil. Same technique as what I did on the coasters that I just showed you. So I'm just dabbing the tip into my silicone oil and then letting it do its job and just pushing things out. But it wasn't really doing much to begin with. The oils weren't really pushing any of the colours out, but then I thought I'd carry on because it may just take a little bit of time, and you'll see that things do start moving around. I'm not sure if I'd hit it with a heat gun again. No, I didn't. Hold on 3 seconds and it will start moving, you'll notice. As soon as I start working out, there it goes. You can see them just pushing. The oil is then pushing the white out, and the darker colours coming through the lighter colour, blue. And it really did create a very interesting piece. And there's a very short video of that at the end, a kind of close up. So if you are still here, I'm just going to go silent for a minute because, you know, I don't need to speak over the whole video. You can see what I'm doing. As soon as I don't want to bore you too much. As soon as I do something different, I'll pop back on and say hello. Hello. Right, so now what I did was, for some reason I decided to go in the darker areas of blue with the light blue, and then in some of the lighter areas I went in with the darker blue, just to kind of change things up and give it a bit more depth, because I could kind of see through the coaster at this point. It was quite transparent, but the depth that it gave me afterwards was really, really cool. Again, I'll pop those photos up in the, probably in the Let's Resin group mainly. So yeah, I kind of just changed it up a bit by kind of adding the lighter to the darker and the darker to the lighter, and then I added some white into some of them. But this piece really did change over a small period of time after I'd finished filming and came back to it. Like I said, it was very, very different to what you're seeing now, but not in a bad way, in a good way. So I'm now going in some of the ones that I've already gone in with some white. I just wanted to kind of brighten that area up really and see what happens. And then I just blasted it with some heat. I kind of just made this up as I went along. As soon as it wasn't looking like a beach, I just thought, well, why not just play around with this piece and just experiment? You never know what you're going to get unless you just play around with things sometimes and just experiment. Yeah, I'd always say if you've got any questions about anything, then just try it and see what happens. You might be surprised with the results. So why not add more silicone oil? And that's what I did. Because I thought, what would happen if I add silicone oil to the bits that I've just dropped into the middle of the cells? And the only way of finding out was, like I said, just try it out, and it did change the piece. And then I just drizzled some white over the top, just for the sake of drizzling the white over the top, I suppose. I didn't know what it was going to do. I think I might have been trying to get some more waves afterwards. Yeah, I was. I wanted to get some more waves afterwards, so I thought I'd try it now, see if my white's thickened up. But I'm definitely not ready for the beach effects yet. I need to really study this a bit more and work out how it all works. But yeah, I'm not quite ready for that. But this didn't, what I'm doing now didn't really stay. I think I heated it with the heat gun again, but in the hope that I was going to get some kind of waves. But it didn't, and I just left it, and it kind of changed all by itself. It's very strange. So at this point I just gave up. I gave it another blast of heat, and I just pushed it aside and walked away. So the results are coming up now. Thank you for watching the video. The results were, they shocked me, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to walk back to this. Again guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me, and I'll see you for the next one.